I am certain today, a scientist in our modern society could not have done this, because he or she would not have begun. A single person alone had to have done this. One person who makes himself a target for many others he predicted, based in newly derived reason, would one day exist. Of this I am challenged. The same person faces the world that does not understand that one person who is not a scientist had to have done this, and because they do not understand, they will not even look. I'm exhibiting to you what I choose to call vegetation displacement by human choices in another timeline. This is a discovery that I may have been led to in the early months preceding the creation of Time Travel Wish. These anomalies of the known biology of trees occurred in my past time. Time past is a wide space where controlling for error will be, and may have been, far less difficult for the team. Enjoy and embrace the possibilities contained within what we have done. Time Travel Wish, November 13th, 2015. Explaining vegetation displacement by human choices. Robert E. Lee lived down in that house, and the summer before last he became ill, and he's now spending the rest of his days in a nursing home. But he used to bring his scrap pipe up to this little area right here. And it was all valuable to him because in his day and age, you recycled and saved everything to later turn in for money. But if he had even a small piece, he would bring it up here and he would straighten out the pile, making it look orderly, while he was up here bringing a small piece up. So he's been gone for 2 years, and now we have second-year trees growing where this pile of stones is, this pile of pipe that was important to him. They would not be growing here if he did not come back and straighten out the order of this small pile of stones, of pipe, excuse me. So I'm a rock wall builder, let's say. There's my trusty dog. Tuvok, say something. This is your speaking role. All right, fine. I'm out here deciding on what rocks to pick up. It's a hot day. I'm sweaty, I'm itchy. And there's 2 stones, and I'll pick up one of these and put it in my cart. All right, you missed your cue, buddy. But wait a second. I'm picking up this one. I have an itch in my ass. I think I'll scratch my ass. There we go. Yeah. All right. Oh, I forgot to pick up that one. I'll just get this one instead in a different history where I didn't scratch my ass. And now we have a tree growing. This tree itself will grow and die and give saplings all over the woods that will grow and die over several hundred years. And each of those trees will affect the amount of light for the others, causing them to grow in completely different places in a different history, in another timeline. One rock would have caused other trees to grow. This rock caused another tree to grow. Vegetation displacement by human choices in another timeline. James out. This is the picture. You can see I'm trying to find this exact location. My mother took this picture approximately 2007, so she says, but I cannot find for the life of me where she took it from. I thought it was here. But not only can I not find these trees that were right in front of the rock wall, but the only trees that are over there are on the other side of the rock wall, and they're not even the trees that are depicted in this image. So, to reiterate, I'm walking toward the wall now with two rocks. This is the location. I'm coming up on it here, where my relationship with this tree had been. Right here, I used to come through the rock wall opening right there, and within about 5 feet, there'd be a tree right here. And we'd have to choose to walk around one side or the other. Now, the only tree near the path is this one here. That one's way over off the path. That wouldn't have been an issue. But here's the path. And the only tree on the path now, or near it, is that big fat one right there. And everybody walks well to one side of that. That's never been an issue. So I will find this location. I'm presuming that the damn geology hasn't changed. And I will find this spot. Okay, back. I've been walking around out here for 45 minutes. I have been standing in 6 to 7 different locations around this wall, and I am baffled, because not only is the one tree that I have memory of being in a different place that I did mention at the dinner table in fall of 2013, not only is that tree not there as I suspected, but there's no tree there. It didn't just move. And there's no tree in front of the wall. There's no trees in front of the wall. Where in the hell are they? So it's looking like, I mean, that's the dip in the horizon. Right there, where that knoll lines up with the horizon, just right about there. This bending tree could not have been this bending tree in the foreground. It's way too far away. Where is that fat tree? Where is that fat tree? In 7 years, the trees don't change that much in 7 years. Anyway, going to go back down to the studio, print out 3 other pictures of wooded scenes and rock walls from my mother's photographs and bring them back up here and try and find this location. Because this is my proof, man. This is this would be the second set of photographic evidence. of this vegetation displacement. This is James Mason out. Okay. Why this is not in focus, I do not know. There we go. I'm standing right where the wagon crash occurred in the photograph on the website. I'm now walking toward the campsite. And I think that's it, right there, in the middle. Yep, that's it. And it's even straighter now. Jesus Christ. Why does this experiment get spookier and spookier for me? I believe this is the point of view of several of those images from last year. You remember my backpack is leaned against this tree. Here again, I want you to notice that this is a play area for children. There have been homes here for hundreds of years. I write on the website that the Amistad sailed right by that river. A steam train passes about 200 feet. And I observed that if I had seen a tree leaning over a creek as much as this one had been, I would have run up and jumped off, because I was a hyperactive child. So this is an indication that a second event occurred here. Two events that I know of, that we now know of, with photographic evidence. And readers, this is now the third display. I am far more certain today that it is human intervention that makes these differences. Because of these two locations, there's no doubt to me this damn tree is standing nearly 90 degrees to the earth. Amazing. James out. 5/8/2015. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, James Times Travel Wish. It is July 10th, 5:07 p.m. That very bending tree, I'm looking at it from the old campsite location at 256 Middlesex Turnpike. I noticed it on Google Earth Road Shots from 2013 and did not remember seeing that very bending tree right in the middle, right there. I would have had to walk underneath it from right there, from right up underneath it, 2014, and right over here. That's the very bending tree that was bending over the creek. This is a second photographic validation of before and after evidence. Incidentally, the tree looks extremely healthy. Definitely not leaning over the creek. Panning back now left to the very bending, newly recognized, radically bending tree. Seen as more radically bending from the Google Earth road shot of the year before, 2013, 2 years ago. And pausing this video at the moment. I think I'm pausing. No, I just took a still. How do you pause? Pause. Time travel wish. James here. October 31st, 2015. I am making this first video to focus on my realization that that fat tree right there is an old but new tree. It is 26 inches in diameter. It is at least 20 years old. I am standing approximately 8 feet south of the rock wall. Behind me here, I have determined that this is where my mother was standing when she took this picture. This picture is 2011, shot with a Canon digital on a snowy day. Incidentally, I walked up here on a snowy day, on this same snowy day later in the afternoon. There are no footprints in this picture, which indicates to me she walked around the east side of these woods and was returning home, heading 192 degrees as we look at this scene. The new but old tree is approximately right here. If the history remained from 2011 to 2015, we should see a small tree here. Now, I had thought, and I spent a half an hour determining that this tree at my right finger is still existing, because I see a knot right there that is characteristic of this tree right here. Turns out this is an old but new tree also, completely new. And this, Tuvok, geez, quiet please. This could be important. It is old but new, but it is of the same genus and the same genetic lineage of its predecessor. Also, I've noticed in the image there is a double tree growing right here. It is a twinning double, and it is non-existent right now in 2015. I cannot find it anywhere along the path. Right back here is a grouping of conifers at the beginning of the path. In this area is a meadow that is approximately 300 foot long. Right here is a conifer tree that grew alongside the footpath near the eastern end of the meadow for several years, since I moved here in 2009. It is gone, completely gone. No conifer. In fact, old Google Earth satellite pictures show that conifer in winter still being its conifer green. So, this whole area has several old but new trees. What we're looking here is for human changes caused by rocks being picked up along this footpath as the rock wall builders came up the hill with their cart to build this rock wall. These are seemingly inconsequential changes caused only by humans, if the hypothesis is correct that our geological and atmospheric history has remained. This old but new tree is only being noticed by me because I pointed it out in my April video in which I first came up here after the snow melted. And I point to it and I say, everybody walks to one side of that tree. So it's not an issue, I said. I noticed it looking at still photographs from that video and then seeing this image that is a match for this footpath. That is the Canfield Hill back there. We are looking at 192 degrees south. And you can see the outline of the hill in the 2011 image right there. This is matching contour this is where we all walk and where we stand right now. I have a yellow sheet of paper on the ground that marks the approximate within inches to the bottom of this print. That yellow sheet is on the ground right there. I have a pink sheet hanging on the old but new tree, and I put a pink sheet on what I thought was a still existing tree, but is actually the same genetic line, a different tree. I had thought that that tree right there was also a still existing tree, but it is not. It is completely new. It only happens to be nearby. So, rock wall builders make a choice, a seemingly inconsequential choice, and they remove rocks from the footpath. This is where human changes can be different. The conifer tree at the meadow is completely gone. It should be right there, visible in the background. Right in there. Completely gone. I looked in the area closely for a pine tree. It's gone. There's a grouping of laurels right here that did not grow. There is a small conifer right in here that's growing 30 foot high in the 2011 pictures, but I'm going to step to my right, to the east a little bit. If you look back in there, you'll see there is a small conifer grouping growing. That is consistent with the same atmospheric and geological history, but different human choices, because the footpath runs right near it. Dogs, anybody could have made these changes. So, conifers grow there, but different conifers, much smaller. Now, in this history, if that hypothesis is ever proven accurate. The next video, I'm going to be focusing on that tree right there. That is the huge 90-foot long, 50-year-old tree that does not appear in the 2011 images and appears on the other side of the rock wall, where those stones of very similar shapes, likely the same stones, were placed differently. That'll be the next video. The very characteristically bending tree that I came up here to look for should be growing right here, but it's not. It's gone completely. Once again, no cutting up here. This is wild growing area. Okay, Tubac. James out. We're going to take another break. Time Travel Wish, October 31st. It's now about 3 hours later from that last video. I'm having a very difficult time matching the geographic location to get a close estimate on where this was shot from. I had an easier time in April in locating this. Here's what this knoll is visible in this picture. This fat tree with this strange 80-pound boulder leaning against it, not here in this image. None of these trees are here. None of them. I was expecting that maybe this little tree in the snow scene image is this one right here, but it's not. It's definitely not. I have walked all around the 3-acre wood on the footpath that we normally take on the other side of this wall, 300 feet over that way, and there is nowhere else this could have been taken from but right here. I am disappointed because I was hoping there would be less foliage right in here so that we could see the geographic drop-off of the land behind the wall. There is a patch of laurels that grows right in there that is consistent with the still green laurels you can see here at the end of my thumb in this picture. That black rocky boulder configuration up there can be seen right on the edge of my thumb right here. So it's very difficult, especially considering that all of them are old but new trees, and this sucker is like 30 inches And so I want to talk about rock configurations that are similar but different on this wall. I have two pink sheets of paper hanging up on two very large old but new trees that cannot be seen in these 2011 images, as if a different history entirely occurred because of the consequential and inconsequential changes in rock wall builders' choices. Consequential only to the trees in the environment that grew differently because the rocks were moved. Inconsequential to us because these choices of rock wall builders do not affect history. I've got a yellow sheet of paper laying on a stone that is shown to be differently placed in the 2011 image. Damn it, the breeze. I really could use assistance up here, but nobody wants to entertain the incredible with me. Not even my own family. End of my thumb. That stone is flopped around and facing differently. Right here on the end of my thumb is a very large stone. Okay, see it right there? That's the stone that's different, flopped around. Right here, leaning up with another stone propped underneath it. This one would have been left alone, too big to move, not even for two guys. Choices of rock wall builders back then would have been to use this if moving the border over a few feet one direction or the other was of no consequence. Often the property owner from that property would join the property owner from this property in the several days it took to assemble a defining border rock wall like this one. So there would be no argument later about, well, Jeb said it was over here and I said it was in there. No arguments if they do it together. Moving a large stone like this would have taken leverage of poles, possibly shovel handles, and they would not likely to have chosen to move it. So this stone can be seen sitting differently. An inconsequential choice. Right here. In back of it, a very large 90-foot tall oak tree. This is the one I noticed from the collage that I made over the summer, over 2 months ago. Here you can see the rock wall builder stayed here and kept stacking. His choices and his feeling at this time were similar. He probably lost track of time and kept going a little higher. And that can be seen right here. Come on, phone, focus. Oh. What a pain in the ass. Here we are, right here. I'm standing right here. By the way, this is the tree I came up here to investigate primarily. Not here. Gone. Never grew. None of these trees, none of them ever grew. They're all different here. This is the south side of the rock wall, where 6 to 8 properties have always been here for more than 100 years. Near River Road, near the postmarks, right down the hill, about 600 feet. There are homes. There's a home down there that's 170 years old. So coming up the footpath through there, you would collect a lot of stones on your way to the rock wall. So there'd be a lot of changes in the growths, in the history of growths of trees right here. Inconsequential to them, consequential only to the trees. This sucker is on the other side of the wall. Right here is where rocks were filled in. That you can see there had been a gap, and the gap is no longer there, and the tree that was growing there in the 2011 image is gone. It was growing right in between the wall. It was common to leave a walkway for the owner or the farmer or the apple orchard that was here to just walk through. If there are small stones laying in the path, cattle won't really step over them if it's a few feet to walk. So I'm going to have to validate this better by coming up here when this foliage is gone, so I can see the landscape in the background. But right here you can see where different, seemingly inconsequential choices of rock wall builders occurred. Right over here to the right, there's a bunch of rocks missing that are there in the 2011 image, right in here, about 50 stones. Right there is where a pathway for the owner of this property, who cleared it out so he could drive his Navy Jeep through here when he was alive. He died in the early 1970s. But I have it on first-person testimony that he used to use this as his playground up in here. Right there is the mysterious hole where he cleared stones away right there to back a vehicle up and dump something in that deep hole right there. There's a steel cable hanging off that tree that is snapped. It's hanging right there. Very mysterious. I dug down about a foot into that hole, uncovered a bunch of bottles dating back to 1968, bank calendar from 1968, 1964, I think it was. I'll have to verify that. But that's very strange. An emotional area for a lot of people. There's some beehives back in there where a man that lived here for more than a decade down in that house down there came up here and loved this little area of the woods and raised bees. My dogs are buried right over there. Very emotional for me. There's Mom walking through the woods as if she normally does. It's a beautiful day to do that. That is the boulder I sat on for many hours from 2009 through 2011 and 2012. That tree right there at the end of my finger is growing within 4 feet of the stone and cannot be seen, nor can this one, in snow scene images of 2011. They are 15 to 20 years old. And there's Mom. Hi. Okay, she doesn't want to be in the movie. James out.
I've had an epiphany about the vegetation displacement by human choices in another timeline. All of those choices, those seemingly small and inconsequential choices of the rock wall builders, were of uncertainties. Time travel was done. June 19th, 8:39 p.m. Friday night. There's unrest in the bachelor's pad, but that's a tangent I'll talk about some other time. On vegetation displacement, another thought of many in speculation, as so much of this project has been dependent on. The team is being careful. They've used images already put on the internet in 2014 and in the past behind that of my own that shows me in space and time in both these locations, in the one several miles north of here along the river in Chester and the one near my home. It was very predictable. It was a factor where the size of uncertainty were significantly smaller, needing less control for purposes of not hurting someone with these shifts. So their job was to do this without causing great harm to the timeline, if that concept is in play. By choosing these localities that are in forests, where likely no one's going to be standing when an occurrence takes place, we see differences made by things as slight as the weather. Like, it's very likely a rock would have been placed or not, earlier or later, or left or right, had it been a hotter day, or a cooler day, or too windy to hear the other guy call for lunch. Anything could make this vegetation displacement at another time. And so, if you're targeting and you're the team, it's reasonable that you choose this kind of place and time. If you have this control over a geographic landing, then it makes sense. James out.